there are 6 stages. There's your dream phase. This is where you figure out that you actually want to buy and you're thinking about it. The hiring your team, the house hunt, the pre-close, the making an offer, and closing. So the dream phase, during your dream phase, this is when you figure out that you want to buy a house. So you're gonna need to save your money, which we talked about with budgeting and savings tool with UWE. And you'll wanna save your money for your down payment and for an earnest money deposit. Earnest money deposits are usually between $500 to $1,000. And that's just good faith money, which shows the seller that you're serious. Because if for some reason you decide, oh, I don't want this house because it has yellow walls, the seller gets to keep that earnest money deposit. And then if it goes through to the closing, that earnest money deposit gets counted towards your closing. So say you bought a $200,000 house, when you went to the closing, $1,000 of it would already be paid for, you'd be paying $199. Okay, and then the second thing is you want to make sure if you're getting a loan that you have good credit history, which they spoke about. And they also spoke about this, the different, or how your score is calculated. So, why is it not doing it?
Push the over, like the arrow button over. That's what I use.
You try pressing the arrow instead of the mouse? I was wondering why it was still on there.
You still can't see it?
Olivia, did you break the computer too?
It was working last night.
I can see it from this angle.
There we go. Okay, here we go. Alright, so we were on the dream phase, and I talked about those different things. And if y'all want to take screenshots of any of this, feel free to. That's, okay, here we go. So, this is an example of if you have bad credit versus if you have good credit when you're purchasing the house. So if you were to buy a $240,000 house and you had a credit score of less than 560, your monthly payment would be almost $2,700 at almost 13%, and you would pay a total of almost $1 million for a $240,000 house. Versus if you had a 740, your monthly payment would be $1,200, not even $1,100 basically, with an interest rate of 4%, and you would only pay $400 in the long run versus almost $1 million. So there's a big reason in why you should make sure your credit is on point before you start this process. So now we're going to go into stage 2, and this is hiring your team of experts. This is going to be when you hire your realtor, the lender, a home inspector, and a lawyer. If you get an experienced realtor, most likely they'll be able to point you in the direction of all of the other people because they've successfully closed deals with these people in the past. And like, I have a home inspector that does home inspections for $100. And he is amazing, and he's hilarious, and he checks everything, and he'll send you a video that you will die laughing at. The walls could be crumbling, and he would have you peeking. It's funny. All right, and then questions to ask your lender. She went over a little bit of this. I suggest talking to 3 different lenders to find the best interest rate, who can help you with the down payment, who's going to give you the best rate. And these are the questions you're going to want to ask them. What type of loans do they offer? What's the interest rate? What you qualify for. I actually have a client who applied with 3 different lenders, and he got approved for $200 with one and then $250 with another. So it's important to talk to a couple different lenders. No offense, Lori. This is my job, so. Alright, you wanna ask how much your monthly payments will be, how much of a down payment, you want an estimated, closing costs, you want estimate of your closing costs, and then you want your pre-approval letter. If you get approved for $1 million, you do not have to spend that whole million, you can only spend 2,000 if you wanted to. So just because you get approved for something doesn't mean you have to spend the whole amount. Alright, and then we're on to my favorite part, which is the house hunt. So this is where you'll sit down with me or your realtor, hopefully it's me that way. And we'll talk about how many bedrooms you want, what square footage you're looking for. Do you want a condo? Do you want a house? Do you care if it's a manufactured home? Do you want to be in a subdivision? Would you like new construction? Any type of parking? So do you want a 2-car garage, a 4-car garage? And once we get your criteria down, we'll schedule showings like we have tomorrow. And then whenever we find your home, we will move over to making an offer. So when you make an offer, you should bring your earnest money deposit that you saved up for when you were in the dream phase and your pre-approval letter. Whenever you're making an offer, I like to do a comparable market analysis. So I'm gonna take homes that are similar in square footage and design, all of that stuff is similar in acreage that's sold in that same subdivision. Whatever they sold for, I'm gonna calculate how much price per square foot they sold for, and then we're gonna use that to make an offer. It's hard for sellers to argue with a comparable market analysis because it's facts. And that's how the appraiser does it. So whatever I come up with, the appraiser's gonna do the same exact thing, and that's what your loan amount's gonna be. You also wanna make sure your realtor goes over this contract in detail because there's important things you should know and things that you should just be aware of. We're also gonna talk about the purchase price, which would be the offer amount, seller paid expenses. Sellers paid expenses in the market right now is a little unrealistic. About 2-3 years ago, a seller would pay your whole closing costs because there was so many houses on the market. Right now, there's not a lot of houses on the market. Everything is being sold within 24 hours. So sellers can pick and choose what they want to do. And if you're asking for closing costs, they're going to be like, no, we'll go to the next offer. And there will probably be multiple offers. And we'll also discuss contingencies. Contingencies are like, there's a financial contingency. So if your finances fall through, then we have X amount of days to find a, oh, she broke those.
Ah, shit. Are they yours?
No, they're mine.
We have,
She just pulled them apart.
Oh, your daddy gonna kill me.
oh, and then
You
there's
should though.
an
It's okay.
appraisal contingency, which if you're getting financing, most likely you're gonna need an appraisal contingency because that's just how it is. Banks need to know what they're lending. Alright, once the seller has signed your offer, you have a binding contract. That means that, oh no, why are you not working now? Here we go. Okay, pre-closing. So once you get here, or once we have a binding contract, I'm gonna send that binding contract over to the financial agent, whoever you're using as a lender. I'm gonna send it to the attorney that you've chosen. I'm gonna send it over to the home inspector. And we will start the due diligence period. Closings usually take 30 to 90 days. But right now, they're taking like 15 to 45. So in the first 10 to 20 days will be the due diligence period. Then a week before closing, your loan will be finalized, and then we'll do a final walkthrough of the house to make sure everything's good a couple of days before we go to the closing table. Oh, sorry.
No.
Alright, so the due diligence period, this is where I schedule a CO 100, which is a termite inspection that makes sure that you don't have termites. A survey, that's really only if you're buying land, because land, you wanna know exactly which corners. If you got a little triangle that's yours, and you wanna know about it, so you would get a survey. And then the appraisal for the finances, a home inspection. I don't care if you are buying with cash, you need a home inspection, because you never know what might be under this rug or under that sink or what's under the house, and they will go through all of that and find anything. There could be serious structural damage and we would have no idea. There could be mold above this, but the home inspector will find that, so it's like crucial. And like I said, I got a guy that does it for $100.
So when you
Really?
have to go through all
Yeah.
these, is the realtor guiding us and showing us how to go through all that?
Absolutely, I will be there for all of that. I'll schedule all of it. I will be there for all of it to make sure he's not skipping a bathroom, skipping a sink.
Right.
But Chuck knows, we look under the sinks when we go to showings. We look in the crevices and the little corners. Like, I want to make sure every box is being checked off. Alright, final thing is repair requests. So if there is something that's structurally wrong, you can ask the seller to fix it before closing. And then, did it go? Yeah, okay. So minor issues that a seller is gonna be like, no, I'm not doing that, would be like paint or landscaping. If you want a bush in the front yard, you put that bush in the front yard by yourself. Costly issues, that's damaged roof, an older HVC unit, flooding or damage or mold, you would want any of that kind of stuff redone. Uneven floors, plumbing issues, things of that nature. That would be what you would ask the seller to repair before closing.
Asking a silly question when you just said with landscaping, like what if it's like a seriously dead tree or something in the yard? Like, did you ask them to do that, or?
You could ask them,
But the likelihood is.
But it's not considered.
it's
major
probably gonna be no. Unless, but you never know, because they might know their cousin might cut trees for a living. You know what I mean? So you never know. Alright, and now, once your loan gets finalized, they'll send me an email that says we got it clear to close. That'll be about a week before closing. During this time, please, Jesus, do not quit your job. Oh my goodness, don't quit your job. And don't be so excited that you're getting a house that you go finance some furniture. Please don't do that.
Don't buy a new car.
Don't buy a new car. Any kind of financial changes, just don't.
Just do it after you close.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when you're repairing your credit. You don't want to apply for things while you're getting your
Yeah.
credit repaired.
And then the final walkthrough, I have worked for 3 different companies over my 6 years in real estate, and I've taken a walkthrough inspection from all of those companies, and I've made my own, so it's very thorough. But we'll do a final walkthrough. It says 3 days, but it's usually like 1 to 3 days, or even the day of closing. And this is just to make sure. This is just to make sure any repairs were made and that the home is ready for you to move into.
I'm sorry.
Last thing is
Make sure she's not. Is she with the plug?
Okay, good.
No,
She's off the plug now.
destroying.
magazines again. Yeah, mama.
Come here.
So
That's what the plug is.
the closing, most of the time your attorney will tell you how much money you need to bring to the closing table. Make sure you bring your ID, and any other documents that they may request. Or usually you wire the funds before we actually go sit down at the closing table. And then once you sign the papers, it records at the courthouse. you meet me at your house and I give you the keys. So
Best
that,
part.
yes, that is the best part.
Now, as far as the attorney, who, like, does the realtor recommend an attorney, or is that something that you have to look for on your own?
No, I can recommend an attorney, and I have 3 lawyers that I love. They close, they get the job done. And I send all 3 of their fee sheets, so you can look at their fees, how much it's gonna cost, and you make your own decision. And it's the same way with lenders. I have 3 lenders that I prefer, and I send them to y'all, and then you decide which one you wanna use.
And I'm not from this area, so I've depended on Shayna to help me with all that stuff.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know any lawyers around here or anything, so.
It's
she's
really
been
like
great
a
with that.
one-stop shop.
Yeah.
You help them with their credit,
Exactly.
you help with the lawyer, you help with the lender, you're gonna help and assist with all aspects of it,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
That's right. I'm also an accredited buyer's representative. That means an ABR. It's kind of like the letters that doctors have after their name, but I'm just the realtor that has the letters after her name. So I work great with buyers. I specialize in new construction. I'm good with resales, obviously, because there's a lot of resales. But yeah, so anybody got any questions?
Now, if you're looking for new construction, is the loan process harder or is it just the same, a loan's a loan? It depends on what you can bring.
It'll be a different loan, and
Okay.
some lenders don't do new construction, but I know some who do.
Yeah, I'd rather do new
Oh,
construction
so
or
new
newer.
A brand
New
new
construction.
house.
Yeah, that way,
Yeah,
I
when
get it.
I move in,
I
it's
know,
appliances,
yeah,
nothing's gonna break down in
right,
a year or
Stainless
two.
steel, right.
you would have to make sure that your lender would know that you're looking to buy new construction, because they may have a program set up for new construction. We're gonna have a new construction home buyers event as well, because
No.
that's a whole,
I'm not like for our family specifically, like we're not 100% wanting to go new construction, but in the area that we live,
There's a bunch.
there's
the
a
like
bunch everywhere.
yeah, the likelihood is that we're thinking it most likely will be, because I mean we don't have 50 or 60 grand to put up that some people have been putting up for reset for other homes. So we have to make sure then that the loan that we get approved for does allow for new construction for this.
Yes.
I did not know.
Yeah.
Ideally, I'd like an older home. That's what we want for our family. But again, we don't have a huge down
See, I
payment.
want
And
to be
then-
like a town bus
I
and
can
break
get somebody else's offer.
There's the process of buying a new construction is a little different, because, well, it really depends on what phase it's in. If it's completed, it's just like buying a regular house. If it's not completed, or if it's even just gotten the infrastructure, it's a totally different process. Like, you might be able to pick out your finishes, what kind of floor you get, and all of that stuff. Or if it's already done, like I said, it would just be a regular. However, new construction, if it's just going up, well, if you were interested, then I would ask the builder what the time frame was. But sometimes those can be 6 months to a year. I have a client that actually bought a condo in Surfside, beautiful, going to be a beautiful condo. But we have a ratified contract 3 months ago, and he won't be able to move in until March of next year.
Because that's
See,
when
I-
his project is projected to be done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Projected.
because of COVID
And the only
Yeah.
thing
the
with that
truck
is you don't really
drivers.
know the time frame.
Oh, yeah.
But you get to pick all your stuff out.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
are they
maybe.
allowing that now?
Oh, what?
To pick out finishes and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, if you get it in that phase where they haven't put the floors down, they haven't put the counters, then you can pick whatever.
Now my parents, they just bought out in Longs, yeah. Now they bought they closed in July. No, they closed in December. They moved down in July. They had a rental. They couldn't do that. They couldn't pick out.
because of the lumber and all.
What?
Yeah, well, they couldn't pick out any of their finishes.
What did they buy it whenever it was just
They got to,
wood or?
no, they got to pick out, like, I want this Bridgerton A. This is the house I want. And they said, okay, so we're gonna put this house on this, we're gonna put that house on this lot, and, these are the fixes that we're gonna do, these are the things that we're gonna do. Do you want it or not? If not, we're gonna go down the list, cause I mean, that was also when the market was booming, so if you want it, we need your $5,000 deposit, if not, we're gonna call the next person and they'll give us the $5,000 deposit. And that's, I mean, it worked out fine for them, their house was beautiful, it was great,
Yeah.
but
So,
I just didn't know if they were at the stage yet to pick out the specialty stuff.
yeah, so, I mean, there might be some builders out there that are like, this is what this house is gonna look like, but I haven't run across none.
Then it's just them buying out in longs and my daddy getting stuff, and that's what I'm
No,
doing.
no.
Get that cracker out of your way, I'm sorry.